When Sister Location was released, it was met with pretty mixed reviews. Some didn't like the changes, some loved the new direction that the franchise was heading in. But one thing that was pretty unanimously liked by the general masses were the animatronics. Robots designed by the twisted mind of William Afton himself. But what happens when robots, who are built to trap and kill, finally get tired of captivity and turn their tricks on you? Welcome back, or to, my channel, where I ramble into a microphone in the middle of the night. Today's topic of discussion will be our favourite amalgam, Ennard, and whether or not their potential was wasted, in my opinion. So, let's begin. Now, before I start talking about Ennard, we've got to talk about the fun times. But I will make sure I speed through this as best as I can so it doesn't drag on too much. Now, the fun times were made by William Afton to perform in Circus Baby's Pizza World. But they had a second purpose: to lure children away, to trap and or kill them for William to perform experiments on to research Remnant. But this little passion project was quickly derailed when the child-killing robot killed a child, but specifically Elizabeth Afton, William's daughter. This event caused Baby, the perpetrator, to become possessed by Elizabeth, which we know due to her eyes changing from blue to green. Circus Baby's Pizza World is then closed down under the guise of a gas leak, and the fun times were cast down into Circus Baby's entertainment and rental, William's little experimental bunker, where they would then be rented out for parties and capture kids at those parties. Now, how people didn't notice this happening, I'm not sure, but this is a game about possessed robots and purple men, so I can extend my disbelief just a little bit. We know based on a schedule in the code and the suspiciously child-shaped mass in Funtime Freddy that they were more than likely still being rented out and killing kids during the time in the rental. We also get to see some of the Funtime's tricks and tactics in their blueprints. Funtime Freddy has parental tracking, voice mimic, and a storage tank, clearly meant for luring the child away from their parent and trapping them and then taking them to William, seemingly alive. Funtime Foxy has parental voice sync and replay, scent release, and a remote floor anchor that's controlled by Baby, whose role seems to be support for both Freddy and Baby, helping lure the child away and using scents to cover the smell of the crime. The floor anchor seems to be so Baby is able to control where he goes. Ballora has an audio sensor, and something called Deter and Misdirect, which feels pretty self-explanatory. And like Foxy, a remote activation that's controlled by Baby. Her purpose also seems to be support like Foxy, but of a slightly different kind, distracting the parents and the other kids as Freddy and Foxy lure their chosen target away. And then there's Baby, the ringleader of the band. You'd expect her to be the most threatening, right? Well, not according to the blueprints. All that's listed is air hose attachment, internal ice cream machine, song database, and an emergency stop. Now obviously this internal ice cream machine we know can be used for nefarious deeds, but the other things don't sound that threatening. Now, there is a reason I described all these things to you, and that's to show how dangerous Ennard is, which will be important in a little bit, but we've talked about the band long enough. It's time to talk about the star of the show. Ennard is a fusion of the main band, created out of a want to escape the rental facility. The plan was for Baby to manipulate Michael Afton, who they thought was William, then luring him into the scooping room to be gutted and worn as a skin suit so they could escape unnoticed. And in the true ending, this plan succeeds, allowing Ennard the escape they craved. At the cost of a few lives, but you know what they say about omelets. In the bad ending, Michael disobeys Baby when she's leading him into the scooping room, making his way to the private room instead, which is William Afton's personal office. Ennard then grabs their signature mask and follows him in, where they hunt him down in a classic FNAF-style fight, taunting Michael with Elizabeth's voice to try and guilt-trip him into letting them in, so they can enact their plan.
Isn't this why you came here? To be with me again. You have to let me inside the room.
Survive the night and we make it home to our telenovela, but their parting threat of
I will find a way out
comes true, and a broken down Ennard drags itself into the room, and the screen cuts to black. Now, this is my opinion, obviously, but I think this is a pretty good first showing. The character is creepy and disturbing in the best way possible, but unfortunately, like all great bands, their breakup was slowly drawing closer. In the Sister Location custom night, we get after-night cutscenes, at first just seeming like a man walking kinda strangely down a street, greeting his neighbours. But each time we see him, he gets a little greener, and then his eyes start degrading, and suddenly he's a purple shambling corpse, practically dragging himself down the street, and then we realise this is the Michael meat suit with Ennard inside. His neighbours now hide behind their houses, watching in concern as he starts to convulse. Ennard realise that this host is past its expiry date and it's time to GTFO, projectile vomiting themselves into a storm drain. Baby then incessantly tells Michael that he won't die.
Won't die, you won't die, you won't die.
But let's be real, look at him. That should not be alive. He looks like roadkill, but despite this, Michael then springs back to life. Now, yes, this is a little bit odd. You're telling me that Ennard looked at this in the mirror and thought, I'm gonna go walk down the street when my entire neighbourhood is outside. Now, yes, sure, there's a chance that they actually need to be doing this, but if there is one, we were not told that. Between Syslocation and FNAF 6, the Scott Game website and the FNAF World website, respectively, had updates to their code, which is where Scott would often hide clues. These clues in particular were an argument between the Funtimes and Baby that presumably happened during them being Ennard, but after they were spat into the storm drain, proving that there are multiple consciousness in there at once. The argument is as following. You are crowding us. Be quiet. You can't tell us what to do anymore. Yes, I can. You will do everything that I tell you to do. We outnumber you. That doesn't matter, dummy. We found a way to eject you. You would be lost without me. Haha, say goodbye to our friend. I can put myself back together. Now, this argument is the inciting incident. With the Funtimes booting out Baby, they lost what was keeping them together, and as you'll see, this is unfortunately the end of Ennard's time in the light. Now, this is a grey area. Technically, this is no longer Ennard, but this is what they then become, so I feel like this counts, but, you know, if you disagree, let me know. I'm gonna include it, so... So Molten Freddy first appears in FNAF 6 as one of the Scrap Gang, and unfortunately kind of ends up being the weakest member, outshined by Baby, who's fully embraced being Elizabeth, gaining roller skates and a giant claw arm, which just looks sick as hell, plus a little speech at the end. William, who, despite all of that, is still an interesting design and a return of William, which a lot of people wanted, and Lefty, who is cool because the puppet's in there and it's the puppet. Next to them, Molten Freddy doesn't actually get any time to stand out, stuck crawling around the vents and only talking when he's right outside the office, which all the others do as well. Which, let me be clear, I am sad about. The design isn't bad, it's bizarre, yes, but look at Scrap Baby. Now, you can clearly tell that Molten Freddy has been impacted by the loss of Baby. Their form now a tangled pile of wires. Gone is the organised form of Ennard. This thing is now led by the most unstable of the crew, Funtime Freddy. His sadism now overpowering the others. He taunts us, saying things like,
Thanks for letting me join the party. I'll try not to disappoint. Together again! One big happy family!
And this is all really fun, but it didn't get the time to shine, and if you look at him within the game, he gets really overshadowed, which will happen when a game has so much going on in terms of interesting characters. And even without all of that, he just loses some of the charm and potential that Ennard had, but I still do like him despite this, so I guess it's not all bad. Now, for my overall summary. I love Ennard. They're great! Without the mask, Ennard's design is amazing, humanoid enough to be off-putting and uncanny, but robot enough that you know what they are. Even without being told their plan, you can see that there's a purpose to the design. His wires are twisted and tangled to form bones and mimic muscle. You can see that he was made to fit inside a person. Proof that behind the manipulation and malice, Baby is intelligent, even if she does some stupid stuff, the entirety of Night 4. Back to Ennard though. Even without the mask, the design works, but with the mask, his design gains a striking contrast, giving them back the clown theming that the rental has, and it also resembles Baby, giving us a nice little visual tell that Baby is at the wheel, using her voice that she's made us trust as a trap. And even without the design, the character's just interesting, a fusion of souls and wires given purpose, escape, and anyone who opposes that is in the way. It's a threat that we hadn't actually seen yet in the series, and other than the Mimic and Glitch Trap, who both have some similar behaviours, we haven't seen anything like it since. And Ennard is one of my favourite characters, if you couldn't tell. And I think they could have done so much more with them. Molten Freddy had potential, absolutely, but wasn't utilised enough in my opinion, and due to the other more vocal or focused on animatronics, he gets overshadowed and then set on fire. ending his chance, and despite reappearing in Ultimate Custom Night along with Ennard, neither get any notable moments there either. So I didn't really think about mentioning them here, just to save time really. Now, Ennard does reappear in both FNAF Help Wanteds, but outside of some fun new animations and a janky walk, there's no new lines or anything to note on, so I didn't really think to mention it here just because it's not that important to this specific topic. But remember, opinions are subjective, and that's what most of this video was. If you agree or disagree, that's fine. And if you'd like to share your opinions on Ennard, whatever it may be, then I encourage you to do so in the comments, on the condition that you're respectful, and that includes the replies. I know a lot of FNAF fans take their opinions and theories very seriously, as do I. I made an entire channel just to talk about them. But people can be very passionate when defending them, and due to this, sometimes quite rude. Which makes me sad. We're a community, but we don't act like it. But enough of that, time to wrap this up. Your reward, of course. If you like this video and would like to see more, then like and subscribe, so I know. Check out my shorts or other videos if they sound interesting to you, and I'll hopefully see you next time. Bye!